This broadcast will start in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Voice of Stockton. For more information on The Voice of Stockton, go to thevoiceofstockton.org.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of KXVS The Voice of Stockton or its parents, affiliates, management, and staff.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another amazing episode of The Phone Booth here on KXVS, The Voice of Stockton. My name is Ed Heitman, and joining me in the studio today is my good friend and co-host, Brian Rodriguez.
Hello.
Happy Batman Day to you, Brian.
Happy Batman Day to you.
It is a good day. Good holiday, indeed. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with what The Phone Booth is all about, allow me to explain. The Phone Booth is a show completely dedicated to the world of pop culture. Anything from movies to TV shows to video games to comic books, you name it, and we do our very best to cover it. Now, this week has been a little slow, not necessarily as bad as last week where almost nothing had happened at all. We actually have some news pieces to talk about and a couple of discussion pieces to go along with it. Of course, before we go into our discussion pieces, we have to enter our weekly wrap-up, where we talk about some of the stuff that happened within the week. So, let's begin. So to start this off, I wanted to share with you guys what I think is an interesting and bizarre story. Now, there's a challenge that's kind of familiar in the film-goer industry that's called the Year of Challenge. Now, the way that the Year of Challenge works is that you pick an actor that you adore, one of your favorite actors or actresses out there in the film industry, and you watch all of their films for an entire year. One movie a day, every day, 12 months out of the year until it's done. For a lot of people, when they do this challenge, it's kind of more action-y kind of roles, I suppose. The year of Liam Neeson, Jason Statham, on the verge of comedy. We also have Kevin Hart. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's been doing a couple of comedy films lately, but he'd be a mixture of comedy and action. However, this isn't about any of those actors. No, instead, Elroy Lugo managed to pull off the year of Adam Sandler. Amazing. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, on September 9th of last year, on the actor's birthday, by the way, Mr. Lugo managed to sit through and watch every single movie Adam Sandler has ever made, one movie a day, throughout the entire year. Now, in my personal opinion, Adam Sandler isn't exactly the best comedian nowadays, but Eloy seems to be a huge fan of Adam Sandler, and has often praised his many films. And yes, he even likes Jack and Jill, the gender-bent comedy that has hit an abysmal 3% on Rotten Tomatoes. I gotta say, it's interesting, the fact that somebody, this is a good little bit of love shown to Adam Sandler, because, I mean, while I admit he's kind of, in my opinion, he kind of lost his touch nowadays, he still has some good films every so often. Even in his worst works, even in his worst films, there's always at least that one little good bit of dialogue that he'll throw in a conversation that just seems to be pretty good.
Yeah, I honestly don't like Sandler at all.
Aww.
Never been a fan. He had one good movie in my opinion, that was Bedtime Stories.
Bedtime Stories was a pretty good one.
But even then, I don't know. I've never liked him, and especially since he seems to be getting worse over the years.
Well, I mean, I enjoyed some of his work. The first Adam Sandler movie I'd ever watched when I was a kid was 8 Crazy Nights, I want to say it was. It was the animated film that Adam Sandler was in. And then I also enjoyed 50 First Dates, The Longest Yard. That was a pretty good one as well. But I do admit he has been losing his touch later on in the years. He seems to be focusing a lot more on toilet humor over other things. But there are people out there who do like Adam Sandler. And no hate towards any Adam Sandler fans out there.
No, and again, this is just my personal opinion. I don't like him, but if you like him, good for you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff for you out there. He makes a lot of movies. I think he still has a movie deal with Netflix.
Yeah, I believe he is working on a Netflix show, or a movie. It's been a minute since I've looked into that, but next episode we'll keep you guys informed on what's going on that premise. Anyways, we'll pass this next little bit of news over to my good friend Brian. Take it away, man.
Halle Berry is making her directorial debut in Hollywood. The actress is going to be creating a film called Bruised about an MMA fighter, which she will be playing. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Bruce will find Berry as Jackie, a disgraced MMA fighter who has to face some serious realities when her 6-year-old son Manny comes back into her life. Recognizing the importance of giving him a good life, she tries to get him back on the path to redemption by getting back in shape and trying to become the champion she's always had the potential to be. This could be interesting. I mean, being a great actress, which I think Halle Berry is, doesn't necessarily translate into being a good director. We've seen a lot of times actors or actresses try to transfer over into directing, and it doesn't end well because they're two different sets of, creative talents. Mm-hmm. But I think she might be able to do it. She seems like she could.
I definitely, I gotta agree with you there, man, because it is true. There are a lot of actors out there in Hollywood who decide to take the directorial debut. I believe Leonardo DiCaprio has tried taking a couple shots in the directing industry. James Franco, I believe, has taken a couple shots at filmmaking. I believe he was the guy who did The Disaster Artist, which is the true story of The Room and Tommy Wiseau and his dream and aspirations. But it's a hit and miss thing. It's not necessarily that actors don't have the capability of being directors. There are actors out there who possibly could be really, really great directors. And honestly, I could see Halle Berry having some potential. I could see her doing pretty good with this film. I'm a little surprised that she's doing a film about MMA, because I'm not really familiar with her being involved in MMA. But if she pulls it off, great. And I am rooting for Halle Berry, and I hope that this project goes along pretty well. And I hope to hear more about it, and I can't wait to talk about it when we get more information, and can't wait to talk about the trailers once we enter a trailer talk at some point in the future. Mm-hmm. So I'll pass on to the next little bit of information. Relax, ladies and gentlemen. Henry Cavill is still Superman. I think. We don't really know for certain, thanks to Warner Brothers. This supposedly started when Henry Cavill, during negotiations with the company Warner Brothers, turned down a Superman cameo in the new Shazam movie starring Zachary Levi. Supposedly that cameo was that he was going to show up at the very, very end of the movie and bump into Billy Batson, the kid who turns into Shazam, and basically just says, hey, we're going to keep our eye on you, hinting at Shazam's possible involvement in the Justice League later on in the films. But he turned that down due to a scheduling negotiations, supposedly with his new role as Geralt in the Netflix's Witcher series. But of course, there are other rumors floating around as well. It could also be due to his salary dispute with Warner Brothers, which led to the rumors and then eventual confirmation of a Supergirl movie. Now, a lot of people were freaking out about this, myself included. I lost my mind on Facebook for a second. But his manager, Danny Garcia, would come to turn down that statement in a tweet. And she said, be careful. The cape is still... Be peaceful. The cape is still in his closet. Warner Brothers Pictures has been and continues to be our partners as they evolve the DC universe. Anticipate a Warner Brothers statement later today. And Warner Brothers did eventually respond with this statement. While no decisions have been made regarding any upcoming Superman films, we've always had great respect for and a great relationship with Henry Cavill, and that remains unchanged. So I don't know if that's a yes or a no.
Yeah, the rumors came out, and now the agent and Warner Brothers are both giving this sort of non-answer statements. They're not saying he's left, but they're also not saying he's still there necessarily, which makes me think that this is still an ongoing discussion between the two parties. I think they're probably still that Warner Brothers may be trying to sweeten the pot, or Cavill's agents may be holding out to get a better contract, something like that. Though if Henry Cavill leaves, I wouldn't be surprised, given that back in 2010, he signed on to be Superman in 2011. Was it 2011's Man of Steel? No, it was 2013.
Yeah.
What was I thinking? Not 2010. My brain is bad. Anyway, over 5 years ago, he signed on to be Superman as part of this big extended universe that was going to challenge Marvel. And then that train derailed so spectacularly, it's almost like Superman threw it at General Zod.
They gave Zack Snyder the reins, and it just drove to the ground.
Yeah, don't give Zack Snyder the reins. He will run that horse off a cliff into the ocean.
Yes, but there has been some some good out of this whole confused fiasco scenario, whatever you want to call it. Because while it hasn't been confirmed yet if Henry Cavill will in fact be leaving his role of Superman, or if he is staying or any, could potentially replace Ben Affleck as Batman, as he's been rumored to possibly be leaving his role as Batman. Now, and you know what? And a lot of things that people have been suggesting about various actors to portray the roles of Superman and Batman have been pretty good. I remember seeing a post where John Hamm, he was in Mad Men, and he was also the main bad guy in Baby Driver in the end. He said that he would be interested in taking on the role of Batman, depending on the script and whatnot, and I think that would be a pretty good call. What are some of the rumors that you heard, Brian?
Well, one of the rumors I heard is that they might be thinking of casting Michael B. Jordan, who was recently in Black Panther as the main villain Killmonger, as the new Superman, which I think would be fantastic. He's a great actor, and it would be a great choice, given that there is actually a black Superman in the DC Universe. It's not Clark Kent, it's Val Zod, a survivor of Krypton from a separate universe who crash-landed on Earth. And in the most current continuity, I believe he was kept captive by the government and sort of trained up and sort of kept away from society. Mm-hmm. Or at least that's how it was in the New 52. I think they've rebooted again since then. I can never keep track.
Yeah, there was the New 52, and then eventually there was Rebirth, so there's not really any telling if the New 52, anything involving the New 52 is still around anymore.
Green Lantern, that's what came out in 2011.
Yeah, oh gosh, Green Lantern.
That's the bad DC movie I was thinking of. It's hard to keep which bad DC movie came out in which year. There are so many of them so frequently.
There really is. There really is. But I do agree that Michael B. Jordan would make a pretty good Superman. He's proven to be a pretty good actor. He's proven to be pretty good in any superhero movie. And I think that'd be an interesting call. And I remember you also saying that there was that a good possible candidate was the actor who played a Superman in the Supergirl CW series.
Yes, Tyler Hoechlin, or I don't know how to pronounce his name. Anyway, he plays Superman in the Supergirl CW show, and he's really good. He has very much the look of Superman. He's, Ed pointed out, he's a little on the scrawny side.
Little less muscular, but...
But I think that's something that can easily be gotten around by either they just say, yeah, the Superman's a little scrawny, or he puts on a little muscle for...
In all fairness, Superman Returns Superman wasn't as buff as Cavill's Superman anyways.
Brandon Routh, who is also in the DC TV universe.
That's true. But, I don't know. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on that. What do you guys think? Who would make a good replacement for Superman and Batman? Who would be some good actors? We'd love to hear back from you guys about that. Anyways, I'll pass this next little bit of news over to my good friend Brian, because I'll freak out too much over fan excitement.
So, a while ago, Remedy Entertainment released a game called Alan Wake, and then a spinoff called Alan Wake's American Nightmare. These Stephen King-inspired horror games were much loved by the fans, slightly maligned by critics, and didn't really sell that well, which gives them sort of status of a cult classic. Mm-hmm. It never got a proper sequel, as Remedy eventually moved on to a more spiritual successor to it, Quantum Break, which, again, didn't sell that well, so they've moved on to another game called Control, which we don't know a lot about, but you can bet if it doesn't sell well, we'll be getting a new game after that. Yeah. However, Alan Wake is not quite dead yet. It is apparently going to be getting a TV series adaptation. It will be... The showrunner will be Peter Calloway, who is a writer for Cloak and Dagger and Legion, and the writer for it will actually be the game's original writer, Sam Lake. While the show does not have a network attached to it yet, Peter Calloway has said they will begin shopping it around to networks this October.
Man, I am genuinely excited. I loved Alan Wake when I got to play it. I never got to beat it, but I fell in love with Alan Wake. It was one of the very few games I ever got to play around the time that I was still getting into 360 games, where it was like the suspense story with overlapping narrations occasionally, and the narrations made things even more like tense, to where like there are scenes where when you have to run to get from point A to point B, you genuinely feel your heart pounding as you're trying to get from point A to point B. Your environments start to close in around you, and things get dark and scary, and it's literally a book turned into a video game, which apparently in the Quantum Break universe was a book in the first place.
Yeah, and then Alan Wake's American Nightmare was a TV show set within the Alan Wake universe, and the original game is structured like a TV show. It's very weird. It's very weird and very dark, and it's very obviously a love letter to Stephen King.
It really is. And, you know, if they're going to be making a TV series for Alan Wake, I really hope that they keep in the narration aspect of Alan Wake. It was one of the things that made it so interesting. When you were walking through and you hear the narrations, it felt like you were interacting with a book as somebody was reading the lines for you from a chapter. And if they pull that off with a TV series, that'd be even greater, because while people are interacting, you'd also hear opening narrations along with it to perhaps give things more tension, more suspense, more emotion, more depth, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, that's about does it for the weekly wrap-up, ladies and gentlemen. Please share your thoughts with us, anything that you thought about our episode, what you thought was good and whatnot. Now, without further ado, it's time for us to enter Trailer Talk. In this episode, Trailer Talk, we have 3 trailers to talk about. Now, of course, if you're unfamiliar with the show, Trailer Talk, we talk about the latest trailers to come out within the week. The links are provided in our description, so feel free to check those out and drop your opinions off in the comments. Now, let's begin. We start off with a movie called, not a movie, a YouTube original series called Viper Club. The U.S. release date is going to be on October 26, 2018. It stars Matt Borner, Damian Young, Susan Sarandon as the main character. And the synopsis is that a war correspondent gets taken hostage while on assignment, prompting his mother, impatient with the government's lack of concern, to take matters into her own hands. And this is directed by Mariam Keshavares. Now, with this trailer, it seemed interesting. The title itself is a little misleading. It's not really much of a club, more so as it's like a small little group of people that happen to know each other and can help out with that. And also, as I had to explain to Brian, there aren't any vipers, like any real snakes.
I was just making sure I don't like snakes.
I know. I was just pointing out. But it was like hinting at this being like this really epic, emotional YouTube series. And of course, we only got to see the trailer. We haven't got to see anything like an actual episode or anything yet. But it just seems kind of dull. Like, you're not really sure what could happen, what are some good tensions going on and whatnot. What are your thoughts, Brian?
Yeah, I actually kind of liked it. I liked the sort of suspense feeling it had. It's basically this woman's son has been kidnapped by we're not 100% sure, it appears some sort of terrorist organization in the Middle East. And as it's against U.S. law to pay ransom to terrorist organizations because, you know, aiding the enemy and all that, she has to eventually take it into her own hands, and it appears she meets up with a group of essentially ransom smugglers. And, it's hard to explain. It seems like they hook up with rich people that are willing to give money to this cause when the U.S. government isn't, and then they transfer it in small increments over to the terrorists in order to pay the bounty outside of U.S., outside of U.S. control. Mm-hmm. And so I think it could look good, because it looks like it's also a very personal story. It's got the sort of espionage feel to it, but it's also the story of a mother and what she's willing to do to rescue her son.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I myself never really been too much into the whole the series that revolves around a person's struggle, but I admit I am interested in the espionage aspects. They were explaining that the funds would be distributed through all these different points, and there's like this whole system around how all the ransom would get distributed and whatnot. And I guess that seems interesting, but I don't subscribe to YouTube Red, so I myself might not be able to watch it. But if anybody out there does happen to watch Viper Club, I'd love to hear your guys' opinions, so feel free to let us know. The next trailer is a Netflix one, and this one looks really good.
It does.
It does. And this one's called The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, and this is the first trailer. The release date is November 16th, 2018. Starring James Franco, Liam Neeson, David Krumholtz, and others. The synopsis is it's an anthology western following 6 different storylines. They're all centering around a man named Buster Scruggs. And this is directed by the Coen brothers, Ethan Coen and Joel Coen. Yes.
Just sort of
And this looks great.
wasn't on camera. Don't know why I did that.
And it looks great. It looks amazing. I've always been a sucker for anthology films. I love when there's a movie and it's like all these different points happen, but they're all centered around one exact key point. Sometimes it's regarding like a certain incident that happens. In this scenario, it all seems to revolve around a certain gunslinger named Buster Scruggs. And it looks good. What do you think, Brian?
I like it. I like the look so far. Not thrilled about James Franco, but I think the quality of the rest of the show will sort of dull that for me. I'll be able to move past it. And there are a few genuinely funny lines involving James Franco.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited about it. And I think you guys will be excited about it too once you, if you guys check out the trailer, so feel free to give that one a watch. The next trailer we have is a teaser trailer for a film called Captive State. And its release date is March 29th, 2019. Starring John Goodman, Vera Farmiga, I hope I didn't mess that up, and Machine Gun Kelly. And the synopsis is that it's set in a Chicago neighborhood nearly a decade after an occupation by an extraterrestrial force. Captive State explores the lives on both sides of the conflict, the collaborators and dissidents, and it's directed by Rupert Wyatt. It seemed interesting. There's obviously, in the trailer, there's obviously some extraterrestrial thing going on, but we're not told what's going on yet because this is just a teaser trailer.
Aside from like one very brief scene, you could be forgiven for not noticing an extraterrestrial presence until the very end, where it's fairly obvious.
Yeah, it's fairly obvious at the very end. You'll immediately know that there's something extraterrestrial going on. But aside from those two key points, it kind of looks like a country that's just been overrun by someone, something. And you get the usual propaganda. Crime's gone. Don't have to worry about jobs. Our poverty is gone. You don't have to worry about anything anymore. And this is due to some legislature that we get a hint at the end of the trailer. Now, I am interested in watching this film because John Goodman is in it.
Yeah.
The last Alien film that I seen that had John Goodman involved in it was 21 Cloverfield Lane, where he played the role of a paranoid conspiracy theorist saying that there are aliens out there outside of his bunker. And he did a really good job in that movie. And I wonder if he's going to try and get some sort of influence from that character within this film or not. I'm not entirely sure.
We only get a brief scene of Goodman's character, and he's wearing a suit and being loaded into a space shuttle, which makes me think he's some collaborator going to meet with the invaders or sad. But this looks like it can sort of fill that gap. Hopefully.
Hey, it's got potential. It definitely looks really, really interesting, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have not much information on it to give you guys, so that's one trailer that we highly suggest you give a watch. We can't really describe it ourselves, it's just something that you have to watch. But anyways, that about does it for Trailer Talk, ladies and gentlemen. Please remember that the links to all the trailers we talked about are available in the description of our video, so give those a watch, and we'd love to hear your guys' feedback. And without further ado, it's time for us to finally enter our discussion pieces. Now, our first discussion piece has a bit of statistics behind it. The link to the statistics are available in the description box. You can feel free to give those a watch while I'm talking about this. Now, we all know the MCU has been around for a while and has received a huge amount of success. Trumped the DC universe every time they try, it seems. As far as crossovers go, we've seen the Avengers team up on 3 different occasions, and even clashing against each other in Captain America Civil War. Now, somewhere out there in the world of pop culture, there was one Marvel fanatic who was sitting around, possibly on his couch, with a bowl of popcorn and something to drink. Was watching these films, possibly in order, in sequence, and then thought to himself, "Hey, I wonder which Marvel superhero has the most lines out of all these crossover films combined." And now we finally have statistics on it. The diligent fanatic took to Reddit with his results, which were interesting to say the least. It turns out, without much surprise, that Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, has the most lines in each individual crossover. In the Avengers, he accumulated somewhere over 150 lines, perhaps 160, it was hard to tell. In Age of Ultron, Mr. Stark accumulated somewhere around 175 lines, which is similar to the number of lines he got in Captain America Civil War. And in the penultimate Avengers film so far, Infinity War, Iron Man accumulated over 125 lines. Not as much as his other films, but still more than the rest of the team. The closest runner-up was Captain America himself, who accumulated 110 in the first film, 140 in the second, 160-ish in Civil War, and only around 25 lines in Infinity War. But that's due to him showing up like much later on into the film.
He said he's going to have a bigger role in the next one. I think this was really just setting up sort of where he is now.
Yes. And, of course, the Avenger with the least amount of dialogue, unfortunately, is poor old Hawkeye, who got 40 lines in the Avengers, 70 in Age of Ultron, 25 in Civil War, and absolutely none in Infinity War because he wasn't there. Probably because the actor was involved in tag at that point in time.
And to be fair, in Civil War, he only showed up like halfway through the movie for the final battle.
Yeah, it's true, it's true. Now, regarding those statistics, I can't really say I'm surprised that Iron Man had the most lines. After all, he was the first superhero to begin the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Iron Man, and then Iron Man 2, and then we finally started getting other Avenger films leading up to a crossover. I do find it a little odd, though, that those two heroes got the most lines out of everybody.
Well, it makes sense. They both have, well, aside from Thor, the most movies individually. There are 3 Captain America, 3 Iron Man, and it helped that the third Captain America was sort of I don't want to say team-up, but a sort of crossover between Iron Man and Captain America. So he got a good chunk of lines from that, whereas Captain America didn't appear in any of his movies. I think Iron Man's also had the most appearances in the Marvel movies, because he was in Iron Man. He had a cameo at the end of The Incredible Hulk. There's Iron Man 2, Avengers, Iron Man 3.
Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah, Age of Ultron, Civil War. He's just been all over this. And he really is sort of the mascot of this. As much as people love Steve Rogers, I do too.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's a great character. But Tony Stark really is the poster child for the MCU.
True, but I mean, at the same time, I find it a little unfair that these two superheroes have the most lines out of everybody. Because I remember watching these Avenger films, and I kind of wanted to see more interactions going on with, like, Black Widow, for example. She was the third runner-up for the most lines in these films, but there was a lot of moments where, like, all we got, really, was Iron Man and Captain America talking. And I wanted to hear somebody else talk. I wanted to hear Bruce Banner talk for a minute while he was still with the Avengers before he got shot off into outer space.
I think the problem is really with the way they've set up the meta story in the universe, in that Tony Stark and Captain America are just the 2 most important characters in the Avengers right about now. Tony Stark set off the entire superhero boom. He created Ultron. He unleashed a bunch of nightmares upon the world. Steve Rogers is, he's Captain America. He's the defender of America. He fought Hydra. He outed them. And while there are other newer characters that are, more powerful and more important, you got your Thanos, you've got pretty much
Scarlet Witch.
Yeah. These 2 are sort of the heart of it. And it has gotten better. I mean, in later movies, Black Widow has gotten more lines and more character development. We actually know her as a character, aside from, the redhead.
Yeah, that's true.
Which was sort of who she was in Iron Man 2 and the Avengers, but it got better.
Yeah, it definitely did get a lot better. And I guess that's fair enough. I don't know, even though Hawkeye was was a pretty useless character in Avengers and Age of Ultron.
He's not the most useful, but I think he has one of the best character development. He's the best in terms of character development in that he's got this family and kids, but he's still doing the superhero thing, and sort of what he wants right now is to just retire, and I kind of like it. I think he's one of the best characters, if not one of the best heroes.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And I kind of wish they had gotten some more dialogue, but who knows? With Avengers 4 and whatnot, and seeing as Jeremy Renner has confirmed that Hawkeye will be in Avengers 4, hopefully we'll get some more dialogue, seeing as 50% of the MCU they're gone. Anyways, time to go on to the next little news piece, and this is one that really, really distresses me.
This is sort of an awkward one.
Yeah, this is one that I do intend on making a video at some point in time because it really has caught my concern. A lot of rumors and concerns have been buzzing around the world this week, I'm sorry, regarding X-Men actress Fan Bingbing. If you watched X-Men Days of Future Past, you might recall her as the mutant Blink, the mutant with the ability to create portals. She allows people to warp through different locations.
She's one of the most popular actresses in China, but she hasn't quite broken out in America yet. She's had a few appearances here and there, but nothing big.
Yeah, she apparently was in Iron Man 3, but only in scenes that were for that country and not ours. Well, apparently Miss Bingbing has disappeared. The actress hasn't been seen since July 1st, and her social media accounts have been dark since July 23rd. While no one is sure what exactly has happened to Miss Bingbing, there are rumors that this actress may have been detained by the Chinese government, or may have escaped to the United States to avoid that very same government. Very recently, Fan Bingbing's name has been connected to a huge tax evasion scandal that's going on in China right now, with a lot of other actors from the country being tied in as well. Apparently, some actors and actresses have been engaging in what is known as a yin-yang contract deal. And here's how the yin-yang contract deal works. In China, when an actor or actress will take on a film with the yin-yang scam, it's essentially breaking the law here. You're given one contract with a smaller amount of pay, and this is for you to put off into your taxes and everything. While at the same time, you secretly receive a second contract with much more money in it, much more pay, for the sole purpose of you being able to use that money and not have to put it into your taxes. It is a tax evasion fraud scandal that's been going on for a while.
It's essentially like having two sets of books in a business. You know, you've got one that you show to the government that has all these, legitimate numbers, and then you have the other book that has all the actual numbers in it. It's sort of like that.
Yeah. And nobody knows for sure what's happened to Fan Bingbing. Her representatives aren't even saying anything about this. We have no real clue where she is right now. And I'm concerned about that. For somebody to just disappear like that is unnerving.
And it happens in China. It's something the government can do. Back in 2011, a very famous artist was kept for about 3 months in the custody of the Chinese government until he eventually signed a form admitting to tax fraud. It's something the government can do, and it's horrible.
It is.
And given America's justice system, it seems repugnant, but it's the way the country works. It's the way their government works. And there's not really a lot that can be done about that because they're a superpower.
It's insane, man. I really hope she's okay. I'm really concerned about her. I really hope she's doing okay. I hope she's not in too much trouble. Due to her popularity, it's safe to say that she's probably not harmed if she is detained, due to her high standing in China. But as of right now, we don't know what's going on, and we will do our best to keep you all informed if we do happen to find out what happened to Fan Bingbing. And I just wanted to talk about this because it's unsettling. And it's something that should be talked about. People should be concerned. People should be trying to figure out what's going on. And people are, but the more people talk about it, the better. Anyways, this last little bit, I'll pass over to Brian.
It's everyone's favorite segment.
Yes.
Brian yells about Destiny for the last third of the show.
Yes. And we have an extra little treat for you guys at the end, but for now, enjoy our Destiny talk.
So, I was going to do a review of the new Destiny expansion, Forsaken. And that was the plan until yesterday. See, yesterday was the release of the new raid, The Last Wish. For those of you who don't know, Destiny raids are a lot like MMO raids. They're, very complicated, very hard. Typically when they're released, no one's quite at the level you need to be to beat them. And the same was true of The Last Wish. Probably more so than any other raid Destiny has released. This thing is brutal. And it doesn't help that the game kind of lies to you about how tough it is. It says you need to be 550 power to go into it, and then all the enemies, even the starting ones, are at 560. So it's
Oof.
that didn't help, especially since most people are around 5:30 at this point in the game. Yeah, it's been fun.
Man.
And every time a raid is released, there is a world's first race. Who can be the first team to beat the raid? And times have varied. I believe the longest so far before this was 14 hours, and the shortest was 4 hours, which is quite the disparity. This one was almost 20 hours. It was 19 hours and 50 minutes before someone actually beat this thing.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I'd like to give a big shout out to Clan Redeem, who are the group that beat it.
Props to you.
Yeah, props to you. It's insane. In fact, in the first 24 hours, only 2 teams beat the raid.
Oh, man.
Which is especially hard because there's actually a special emblem in-game that you get for beating the raid within the first 24 hours. And one of the big contenders that people thought were going to beat it first, the clan math class, managed to beat the raid in 24 hours and 2 minutes.
Oh!
They missed out on the super... So 12 people in the world have this emblem. And this team of really great gamers, some of the best there, they've gotten world's first in the past 2, missed out on it by 2 minutes.
By 2 minutes!
And they've been playing for the full 24 hours since the raid dropped. It's just sort of heartbreaking.
The rage they must have had when that happened, man.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And see, this raid, aside from being very hard and having the emblem, also had real-life rewards in it. The world's first Clan Redeem to beat it actually got a belt, like a wrestling title belt. Yeah, each one's going to get a wrestling belt commemorating their victory. And if you beat it before the daily reset on 10 a.m. on Tuesday, you get a jacket commemorating that. And I really hope I can beat it before then, because it looks really cool. I probably won't. I've accepted that. I've internalized it.
Don't give up hope.
I'm not giving up
hope. You might
hope.
get it.
I might get it, but I am just preparing myself for the chance I don't. Also, what's different about this raid is typically when the raid is beat, that's sort of it. I mean, yeah, it's a cool bit of story if they bothered to actually add enough story to connect it to the main story. There's new gear, all this is cool, but it doesn't really change the game in any way. You beat it, and that's sort of the end of the storyline for the expansion. That's not how this one is working, though. It seems like the first completion of the raid is actually sort of the midpoint of the second storyline of this expansion. The first storyline is what they've been advertising. It's you going after Prince Uldren and the Barons. You hunt them down in the Tangled Shore. It's a space western. Eventually you get your revenge. I'm not going to bother spoiler warning that. It's very obvious. They don't go with any weird twists except for one. But the second storyline is about the Dreaming City, which is the home of the Awoken race. And it's this really weird Tolkien-inspired area. It's, big sweeping vistas, ivory towers. The entire armor set makes you look like a knight. And we don't really know what's going on in the Dreaming City. We know it's a place the Awoken store their knowledge, and that it had been corrupted, and the dragon that was guarding it got corrupted and is in fact the boss of the raid. So by beating the raid, it turns out that, and I'm gonna go full into this and say Clan Redeem is now part of the lore. It turns out Clan Redeem has now unleashed corruption upon the Dreaming City. By killing the dragon at the end of the raid, they have released the corruption inside of it, because dragons in the Destiny universe have the ability to turn dreams into reality, which is an entire other discussion. Don't worry about it.
Okay, I'll try.
So by beating the raid, they unlocked a new strike, the Corrupted Strike, which is very fun, a new map for the Gambit game mode inside the Dreaming City, and they have unlocked changes to the Dreaming City. The 9-player activity, the Blind Well, has gotten a new tier of difficulty. There is corrupted blights appearing around there, and it looks like it's going to start off a 3-week cycle for the Dreaming City where it progressively gets more and more corrupted. So while the raid is typically the end of the story in past expansions, the raid really is sort of the end of the first act of this story, it seems. Which I think is really great. It's great that they're integrating gameplay into the lore. It's not just, oh, the raid, this is the hardest activity, oh, you beat it, you're sort of done with the game now.
Well, that is a nice touch. That is pretty interesting. Anyways, final thoughts on that?
Final thoughts. The expansion overall, very good. I think if you're a fan of Destiny and you've been wanting a reason to come back, it's well worth the $40. If you're still on the fence, don't blame you for being. If you don't want to, don't buy it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. The raid is brutal. It requires, at this power level, pretty much perfect communication, and I love it. I haven't gotten past the first challenge in the raid after about 12 hours of playing, but I still loved it, because I knew that this was something that would feel good to accomplish. This isn't just them handing out rewards. This is something you have to fight for.
Mm-hmm.
And the overall community response is sort of similar. It's, it's great that this is integrated into the story. It's great that this is hard. Please do more of this. It's great that there are real-life rewards for being good enough to beat it in the first 4 days.
Nice. That's cool. Really interesting. Now, before we close off today's episode of the Phone Booth, we have a special announcement. I have in my hands the Fall 2018 television schedule to begin on the 23rd of this month. And we have even signed it ourselves to make sure that it is, in fact, accurate and it is confirmed. Because if I confirm it, it is true.
I just signed it. I didn't actually read it.
He confirmed it. Don't listen to him, ladies and gentlemen. Now, allow me to read off the schedule of what is going to be happening on television within this season. Starting with Sunday, we're going to have NFL, starting with the 7 p.m. slot, we're going to have NFL on Fox, America's Funniest Home Videos on ABC, and 60 Minutes on CBS. From 7 to 8:20 p.m. we will have Football Night in America on NBC. 7:30 we'll have the OT/Encores on Fox. At 8 o'clock we'll have The Simpsons on Fox, Dancing with the Stars on ABC, God Friended Me on CBS, and Supergirl on the CW. 8:20 to 11 we'll have Sunday Night Football on NBC. 8:30 we'll have Bob's Burgers on Fox. 9 o'clock we'll have Family Guy on Fox, Shark Tank on ABC, NCIS LA on CBS, and Charmed on the CW. On 9:30 we'll have Rel on Fox. At 10 o'clock we'll have the Alec Baldwin Show, strange I know, but it's on ABC, and Madam Secretary on CBS. Now, let's get into Monday. Any of those shows catch your interest so far, man?
The Alec Baldwin show's interesting. I honestly hadn't heard of it before, but Alec Baldwin, he's funny. It'll be interesting to see how he does with his own show.
Thought he did a good job in 30 Rock, so I mean, I guess this has some potential. All right, now moving on to Mondays. At 8 p.m. we have The Voice on NBC, The Resident on Fox, Dancing with the Stars on ABC, The Neighborhood on CBS, Legends of Tomorrow on the CW. 8:30 we have Happy Together on CBS. At 9 o'clock we have 911 on Fox, Magnum P.I. on CBS, Arrow on the CW. And at 10 p.m. we have Manifest on NBC, The Good Doctor on ABC, and Bull on CBS. I really gotta get into Legends of Tomorrow. I haven't really watched it yet just because I have to catch up on everything else in the CW universe.
It is hands down the most comic booky show they have. It just sort of leans into the ridiculous nature of all these superheroes time traveling. It doesn't sort of try to ground itself in reality like the other shows do. It just has fun with the premise.
And that's good. That's one of the things I love about superhero shows and movies, especially the old school 60s ones, because those ones, while they were kind of trying to be in reality, it was also just a bit more silly because they were trying to stick to source material.
You'd especially love Season 3.
Oh, yeah.
It has an appearance by Billy Zane.
Oh, I will not watch Legends of Tomorrow, apparently. I have officially put that on my blacklist. Starting with Tuesday. At 8 p.m., we have The Voice on NBC. We have The Gifted on Fox. Roseanne, The Connors on ABC. NCIS, CBS, the original series. It's returning. And then we have The Flash on the CW. 8:30 p.m. we have The Kids Are All Right on ABC. 9 p.m. we have This Is Us on NBC. Lethal Weapon on Fox. Black-ish on ABC. FBI, which is a new series, on CBS, and Black Lightning will return on the CW. 9:30 p.m. we'll have Splitting Up Together on ABC, and at 10 p.m. we'll have New Amsterdam on NBC, The Rookie on ABC, and NCIS New Orleans on CBS. Now, I'm surprised with the Connors. They decided to actually list Roseanne's name into it.
I see. I haven't actually seen any marketing for it with Roseanne's name in it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I was checking out the Hollywood Reporter because they had the list. If you guys want to check out a list for yourself, go to HollywoodReporter.com. They have the fall 2018 TV schedule. And it was listed as Roseanne, the Connors.
I feel like that may be a mistake or them trying to list that there may be reruns of Roseanne in that time. I don't know why ABC... Because they've been trying to distance themselves from Roseanne Barr pretty heavily since the controversy last April. Mm-hmm. Which resulted in the Roseanne revival getting canceled. I'm not going to get too deep into it, other than it inspired them to create a spin-off completely without her of the show that bore her name and had her as a main character, which is never a great sign.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure if they're talking about reruns, because on the Hollywood Reporter, when they listed Saturday Night Live, they specifically mentioned that it'll be like encore reruns of the show and things like that. But who knows?
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Now, moving on to Wednesdays. At 8 p.m., we have Chicago Med on NBC. We have Empire on Fox. The Goldbergs on ABC. Survivor on CBS. And Riverdale returning to the CW. 8:30 p.m., we will have American Housewife on ABC. 9 p.m., we'll have Chicago Fire on NBC. Star on Fox. Modern Family on ABC. SEAL Team on CBS, and All American on the CW. 9:30 p.m. we'll have Single Parents for ABC, and at 10 p.m. we'll have Chicago PD, 1 Million Little Things on ABC, and Criminal Minds on CBS. Now, it should be noted that with the new season of Modern Family, Season 10, as it is supposedly the last season, or it might not be, I'm not entirely sure if that was accurate, but what I do know is accurate for a fact, is that one of the key characters in Modern Family is going to be killed off for some reason.
I don't watch Modern Family, but I do know about some of the characters. I know for a fact that there are 2 gay characters, which if they have a brain in their heads, the writers will not kill off and play into the kill your gays trope. It's a trope for a reason, and people hate it. Do not play into that. I also know that one of the main characters is actually much older and the father of some of the other main characters, grandfather to some of the children. Mm-hmm. And seems like, given his age, that might be a likely target.
And you see, that would be unfair if they do kill off the character. While it would be reasonable if they do kill him off due to his old age. He is a very important character in the series. But it would just suck to see any of the cast members in Modern Family get killed off. Period. Doesn't matter their age, their sexual orientation, or anything like that. I don't want to see anybody in Modern Family get killed off. They're all really great characters.
It does seem like a weird choice for a sitcom. I mean, sitcoms can deal with serious issues, but it just feels like an odd choice to make 10 seasons in to kill off a main character.
You know, and I think I understand why they're doing this. The exact same thing happened with Family Guy. A while back, they tried killing off Brian, a major character in the family. And this was just like a way to attract viewers, although they said themselves that it was to introduce a little bit of fresh air into the show with the failed character Vinny.
For 3 episodes. For 3 episodes, they introduced that fresh air and then just sucked all the stale stuff back in.
Yep, because nobody was happy with the fact that Brian got replaced. And Modern Family, they're not going to be able to have the opportunity of stepping into a time machine and fixing the wrongdoings that they have done.
Yeah, Family Guy both has a darker sense of humor, and it's an animated cartoon that it has time travel, it has magic, it has all this stuff. It barely has a plot, so it doesn't really need to justify anything. Mm-hmm. But Modern Family is, again, I don't watch the show. Maybe it's a very dark humor show, and I don't know. But from what I can tell, it's sort of very light humor. And it feels odd that they would make this choice. I don't know. Maybe it'll be done well. Don't kill the gay characters. It's a bad idea. You will get protests. But it might work. Don't kill the gay characters.
The show is pretty good, and I suggest you give it a watch, Brian. If you're a fan of Arrested Development, you'll definitely like the style of humor that's in Modern Family.
Oh, I'm interested in it. I've just never been able to find a place to watch it. I don't have cable, so I'm sort of stuck to Netflix and Hulu.
Ah, reasonable. But it is definitely a good show, and I kind of hope that I hope they don't kill off the dad. He's one of my favorite characters, and he's a lot of people's favorite character. So I don't know. Moving on to Thursdays. At 8 p.m. we have Superstore on NBC. Thursday Night Football on Fox. Grey's Anatomy on ABC. The Big Bang Theory, final season by the way, on CBS. And Supernatural returning to the CW. 8:30 p.m. is The Good Place on NBC, and Young Sheldon on CBS. 9 p.m. we'll have Will and Grace, Station 19. Will and Grace is on NBC, Station 19 is on ABC. Mom on CBS, Legacies on CW. At 9:30 p.m. we have I Feel Bad on NBC, and then we also have Murphy Brown on CBS. And at 10 p.m. we have Law & Order, Special Victims Unit on NBC, and How to Get Away with Murder on ABC, along with SWAT on CBS. Now, did you know that Supernatural is one of the longest-running supernatural shows on television right now?
I believe it. Isn't it going into like its 15th or 16th season?
I believe so.
And it was only supposed to go to season 5 before ending.
Yeah! It originally debuted at around September of 2005. I only know about this because I was doing my research on the corrupted blood incident that I was going to talk about a while back. But yeah, I mean, it debuted around 2005 and it's still going strong nowadays, though its style has changed a bit from its original roots. It's still a decent show. And I definitely recommend it to people, and my friend Tim here at the station would definitely agree with me there.
It had a comic book crossover with Scooby-Doo.
I thought that was so strange. Not a comic book crossover. This was an actual episode.
Oh, it was... I looked at that ridiculous premise and thought, oh, this is going to be like a one-off comic that they do for... It's like Batman versus the Predator. Oh, that's an actual episode they did. That's interesting.
It's great. It's fantastic. Now, let's go into Fridays.
Friday!
Yes, TGIF. At 8 p.m. we have Blind Spot on NBC. Last Man Standing is moving to Fox. Fresh Off the Boat on ABC. MacGyver on CBS. And Dynasty on the CW. At 8:30 we have The Cool Kids on Fox. And Speechless on ABC. 9 p.m. we have Midnight Texas on NBC. Hell's Kitchen on Fox. Child Support on ABC. Hawaii Five-0 on CBS. And Crazy Ex-Girlfriend on the CW. At 10 p.m., we have Dateline on NBC, 2020 on ABC, and Blue Bloods on CBS. Any of those catch your attention, man?
I'm disappointed that Crazy Ex-Girlfriend's still a thing.
What? I heard people said it was a decent show.
See, I hear people say that, but from the time I saw the first trailer for the first season, it depicts a woman with serious mental health issues deciding to throw out her meds and move to California away from her successful job in life to essentially stalk an ex-boyfriend. It looked misogynistic, and it looked really offensive to people that actually have mental health issues that need medication to deal with it, like me. The idea that they can just throw it out and go chase their dreams and everything will be fine. That's not how it works. Our brains don't process chemicals correctly. We don't just get to throw out the things that make them work and everything's fine. Sorry, that went off.
No, it's reasonable. People, I wasn't really too into it myself. A lot of people got crazy over it, thought that it was a good show, but then again, around the time that it premiered, it was mirroring alongside Jane the Virgin, which got a lot of pretty good reception. So when you're next to a show that good, you have a tendency to get praised pretty well as well. Well, let's wrap this up with what is on Saturdays, the last day of the week. At 7 p.m., we have college football on Fox. 8 p.m. we have Dateline Saturday Night Mystery on NBC, Saturday Night Football on ABC, and Crime Time Saturday on CBS. And at 10 p.m. we have Sunday Night Live Saturday Night Live and their encores on NBC, and 48 Hours on CBS. I'm looking forward to Saturday Night Live. It's a show that I don't really get to catch up to speed on very often, but it's also a show that I don't have to keep up to speed to understand. It's a comedy sketch show, like what Mad TV used to be back when that was around.
Yeah, they've got a really good. They've had a really good cast for the past few years, and with recent political, it's hard to describe it without getting too hard into it, which I try to avoid doing. They've had a lot of material to work with, and they've worked with it pretty well. I mean, not every cast member is good, but most of them are. Kate McKinnon is a treasure, as is Leslie Jones.
Yeah, definitely. And Saturday Night Live has had a reputation for being one of the few shows to be able to take any situation, no matter how tragic it is, and seem to make a pretty decent skit out of it.
It's going into its 43rd season.
Yes, and, man, it's such a good show. And another thing I'm looking forward to on Saturdays, from what I've gathered here, is that we got some good crime shows. I always love a good crime show. One of the shows that I love watching on cable is 48 Hours, where they do a full-on investigation trying to figure out where a person went after they vanished. And I also like shows that just talk about certain murders that happened in the past and how they're able to capture the criminal and all that stuff. That investigative work put into it. I love watching that kind of stuff. So I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that was the fall 2018 television schedule signed by Brian and I, so it is immediately legit, no matter what claims try to come out to prove me otherwise.
We are the only source of true information.
Yes, we are like the exact opposite of Wikipedia. We are always accurate. Always accurate. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that will mark the end of today's episode. Now, remember, please tune in every Saturday morning, or afternoon actually, from 1 to 2, as we do our very best to cover all things pop culture, from movies to video games, TV shows, comic books, you name it, we do our best to cover it. And if there are any news pieces that you want us to talk about or discuss, please let us know through the Voice of Stockton or through our Facebook page, The Phone Booth. Now, without further ado, my name is Ed Heitman. Joining me in the studio today is my good friend and co-host, Brian Rodriguez.
Don't kill the gay characters.
Yeah, don't kill the gay characters, and happy Batman Day. Have a nice night, ladies